Hope you all had a great weekend. It's time for more hot news, hot news. But before we get into it, I just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you. We finally got our silver play button from YouTube in this morning, and it's because of every one of you who has watched, liked, shared, and especially subscribed, since this is for 100,000 subscribers. You've made us South Africa's largest tech channel, the first one to hit 100K, and I'm eternally grateful for that. Thank you guys so much. But now it's time to partake in some news parkour. Let's go. So we're gonna start off atypically and jump right into today's segment of, I don't wanna live in this future anymore. So not only are robots and artificial intelligence coming to take our normal jobs, such as burger flipping and truck driving, but apparently they're going to be taking stunt jobs as well. And one of the most terrifying animated GIFs I've ever seen in my life.
GIF, like G-H-O-T-I for fish, provides an opportunity to laugh at and use the insane contingency of the English language.
There's a new animatronic robot from Disney that is doing a superhero pose while flying through the air. It makes me want to crap myself, and it's not even flying towards me. Apparently they're working on it for one of their shows at Disney to be a stunt bot that can help tell a story by flying through the air somehow, but all I know is that I'm gonna have nightmares of a 6'2" robot jumping over a skyscraper to murder me. And then when you think things can't be more terrifying than that, we have reports that China has developed a laser-powered rifle that can set you on fire from half a mile away. The ZKZ-M500 is a 6.6-pound laser weapon about the size of an AK-47 that is supposedly non-lethal unless you happen to be wearing flammable clothes, in which case you'll burst into flames. The first units of mass production are expected to be given to the anti-terrorism squads in Chinese armed police. Again, horrifying nightmares of being lit aflame in a blazing ball of vaporization from a culprit I can't see because he's skulking in a bush 1,000 paces away. All I know is, I don't want to live in this future anymore. But in bad news that sucks, but isn't quite as terrifying as those previous two stories, LTE is tremendously vulnerable to security attacks. Security researchers out of Abu Dhabi have found several flaws in the LTE network that can make it so your communication can be easily intercepted. Apparently, LTE networks aren't very secure because they don't integrity protect user data across the network. That allows hackers to adjust information in an encrypted packet and then decrypt it, which means they can intercept and then decrypt the communication that is going between you and the network. Rough stuff. Link is in the description for more details if you're interested in that particular exploit. Then in encouraging future news, Tesla met its target of producing 5,000 Model 3s in a week. The great and glorious Elon Musk has set a goal for the company of producing 5,000 of the budget cars a week before the end of June. Unfortunately, they technically missed that deadline by about 5 hours because of final quality checks that didn't finish until 5 a.m. on July 1st, but the forward momentum progress for the electric car company could be huge. Including the other cars in their production, they produced about 7,000 cars in the last 7 days, including the Model S and the Model X. Hopefully that will help them to meet the large pent-up demand for the mostly affordable electric car. Also fam, you'll know I've made it on YouTube once I finally get my Model X. 6 seats for the family with the 3 kids, super fast electric engine on #excite. I'm gonna be dropping a whole bunch of money on a Tesla car, I'll tell you that much. But then in news you might care about, but I really don't, so I'm only gonna spend like one sentence on it. There appears to be prototype plastic cases for the upcoming iPhones. There you go, news over. In more interesting iPhone news though, we have leaked benchmarks of the upcoming A12 SoC for the new iPhone. The results are from the Geekbench benchmark and show that the suspected upcoming A12 processor is roughly only 10% faster on average than the current A11 chip. 10% might seem like a lot, but the A12 is supposed to be on the 7nm process and therefore provide significant boost to performance. Also, considering there was roughly a 25% improvement from the A10 to the current A11, it becomes even more underwhelming. Supposedly, according to at least one known leakster on Twitter, these aren't the final results and the A12 should be faster on release. That would make sense since the 7nm chips likely still have time to be refined until their suspected release in a few months. And then apparently Microsoft is working on a dual-screen foldable Surface device that should fit into your pocket. The project, codenamed Andromeda, has been in development for years and was teased by the Microsoft Surface Head last week. It's an interesting take on their Surface devices, but also isn't the first foldable portable device that's been rumored about. Samsung is also potentially launching a foldable phone next year in conjunction with the Galaxy S10. We'll have to see how this develops and where it goes, but it could be a cool, interesting portable device future ahead of us. Although basically I'm just gonna think it's a gimmick until I can find an actual good use for it. That's basically where I stand on these new phone technologies. Confangled new contraptions. But then in news that really will save the future of portable devices, WhatsApp has announced new settings for group chats. So for my American viewers, this may not seem like a big deal because y'all don't really use WhatsApp, but here in South Africa, WhatsApp is basically the only real form of communication between people. However, with that, anytime you add a large amount of people into a group chat, it can easily devolve into chaos, debauchery, and terrible images of people's feet because they didn't know they had left their phone unlocked and took a picture. Thankfully, today the company announced that they're allowing a new group setting where only admins are allowed to message the group, and that one cranky lady who got added can't complain about how her grass isn't growing fast enough. There's not much more to it than that. It's an amazing and welcome future. Thank you, WhatsApp. And then in quick VR news that affects very few people, HTC announced today that they'll have a full bundle with the Vive Pro, including Steam VR 2.0 base stations, which triples the amount of total play area, as well as a new set of Pro controllers in blue. The bundle obviously includes the Vive Pro headset, which has built-in audio and streamlined cables and has a 78% increase in pixel density, but comes in at a terrifically costing, terrifically, why do they have the same prefix? The terribly cost prohibitive 1,300 pounds or roughly $1,700. Big, hard pass on that. VR, still just a gimmick, not even worth the $400 for the regular Vive setup, let alone this $1,300 for the Vive Pro. But then in breaking rumor news, Semi-Accurate has published an article on how Intel's 10nm failures will likely bankrupt a very large company because they bet their entire future on Intel's ability to produce their 10nm chips. So basically, Intel sucks at producing 10nm and other companies were depending on them to come through. Unfortunately, in order to find out what the company is, it requires a $1,000 subscription to Semi-Accurate, which I'm not paying. Most likely, someone with the subscription will leak the details at some point, but most common guesses are either Dell or Nokia, given the size of the company that is being quoted or teased at the beginning of the article. Again, we don't have official details because I'm not paying $1,000. But I just wanted to make you all aware of this story in case you hear more details elsewhere, because this could be a big breaking thing or it could be nothing at all because they're semi-accurate. So sometimes yes, sometimes no. But then we have some pretty legitimate looking leaks of the upcoming Ryzen 3 2300X CPU over on the Chip Hell forum. Running on a BioStar X370 GT7 motherboard, the unreleased 4-core 4-thread chip is shown to be running at 4.26 GHz at 1.386 volts with a Cinebench score of 690. The user was also able to get the CPU up to 4.3 GHz, but needed water cooling in order to keep the temperatures manageable for the 65-watt chip. If you were looking to pick up the Ryzen 3 2200G but don't want the integrated Vega GPU, it might be worth waiting for the chip since it appears that it'll have about an 11 to 15% performance increase over the Ryzen 3 1300. And then in more information out of the Chip Hell forum, there's a suspected report of an upcoming Polaris 30 GPU from AMD in Q4 of this year, while they'll launch a 7nm Vega 20 gaming GPU in Q1 of next year. Now, if you remember back to Computex, Lisa sued that gamers would be getting 7nm, but she didn't disclose which architecture it would be, just that it was coming. Apparently, it looks like we might be getting Vega. So the post comes from user WJM47196, great forum name if I've ever heard it, who has correctly predicted details about Ryzen and Threadripper before their launches previously, according to their sources. So it's possible that this will be true, but also should be taken with a giant turd of salt because it's just one user's claims. So the Polaris 30 GPU, likely the RX 680, would be about 15% faster than the current RX 580 thanks to adjustments on the architecture, even if there's no major design changes. The suspected Vega 20 GPU would be akin to the Vega 64 with 64 compute units, but with 16 gigabytes of HBM2 instead of the 8 gigabytes it currently has, and then on the much more efficient 7nm process. We'll have to see if these rumors pan out, but it could be a more interesting future if AMD can actually release new GPUs before Navi, since that will allow them to have a fighting chance against NVIDIA's upcoming upcoming 11 series cards. Speaking of 11 series cards, in the stupidest rumor news of today, there's a Vietnamese online retailer that had listed two models of a GTX 1180, one an Asus Strix model and the other an MSI Gaming X. The listing quotes the 12 nanometer design, 16 gigabytes of GDDR6, GT104 chip, 3584 CUDA cores, and 14 gigabits per second memory bandwidth on a 256-bit bus. Those are basically the leaked specs that we saw out of WCCF Tech months ago. The price they're listed at was also 31 to 34 million Vietnamese dong, which equates to about 1,300 to 1,500 USD. The listings also included Photoshop copies of the retail box for the Strix and the Gaming X, but I'm pretty sure that this is a bunch of horse hockey and shouldn't be taken seriously at all. There's zero chance, in my mind at least, that the AIB partner card designs will stay the same from one generation to the next, because they haven't before. They will usually update their cooler's design and performance, so it won't be the exact same as what it is now, even though the listings just showed the 10 series designs with the 1180 moniker on it. And it appears that as we're recording, these listings have been taken down from the Vietnamese retailer. One could presume because Nvidia slapped them with a, we're gonna sue you embargo, or it could just be because it was a whole bunch of horse hockey. Big load of poppycock in my estimation, so if you see anyone posting these things around as legit, just remind them that they should be taking any rumors about the GTX 11 series cards with, 16 heaping steaming turdfuls of salt. And I just want to clarify for anybody that cares, the reason we discuss rumors here on Hot News is because y'all care about it. I noticed that the discussions go around no matter what in the tech community, so I'd rather give you an informed perspective on it. That way we can have a discussion surrounding it, and that it's not just out there in the void for everybody to come to their own conclusions on how real it is when certain times like this. It's absolutely just a bunch of crap. But that's gonna wrap it up for the news that we have today. Please be sure to let me know which was your favorite piece of hot news down in the comments. Let's chat about anything and anything I brought up today. Don't forget to share this video with your friends if they care about tech news at all and they want to keep it hot, because any other news source is just cold news. It's freezing, it's nasty, it's like frozen McDonald's French fries. That's what every other news channel's like. Frozen McDonald's French fries. I'm gonna stick with that. You know what? We're hot news. We're like McDonald's fries right out of the oven, or Rocco Mama's fries. Rocco Mama's, right? We need to get them as a sponsor. We need Rocco Mamas to sponsor this channel. Anyways, I'm rambling. Thank you guys so much for watching Hot News. Thank you guys so much for 100,000 subscribers, by the way. Can't believe we actually have this. It's amazing. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. I love you. Don't forget to smash that like button. Please get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content so we can get to 1 million. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see your smiling faces again in the next video. Cheers. No, that sucked. Gosh dang it. Ah! I screwed up the segment. Okay, it's not gonna fall. Yes. Smiling faces again in the next video. Cheers. Ah!